So I have almost 200,000 followers on TikTok, and over the last couple of years, it was my favorite platform to create on. But this last year, in 2024, I kind of gave up on the platform. Honestly, I'm so tired with it. I am so overwhelmed by it. And while I do still believe TikTok has its place in my content ecosystem, and it is still a very valuable part, potentially, of your content strategy, I personally gave up on it as a priority and putting the platform above a lot of other things for a couple of different reasons. So maybe you're like me and you've been creating on the platform for a couple of years, or you found a little bit of growth, but recently you're kind of feeling bleh about the platform. Or maybe you're still considering starting your content creation journey on TikTok and you're feeling a little bit of hesitation. I want to dive into a couple of reasons why this platform isn't as booming as it once was, and how it's just not hitting the same. So one of the main reasons why I gave up on this platform this year is because there was such an emphasis on TikTok Shop. Now, I have to say this as a big caveat. This is no shade towards the influencer girlies or the content creators who are producing content for TikTok Shop. And I know there are plenty of small business owners that find this part of the platform very valuable, but it has turned TikTok into a modern day QVC. And I know we are all feeling the implications of that. And now there's nothing inherently wrong if that is something you're wanting to participate in, if it's something you are participating in. I personally, for my business, I want nothing to do with it. I personally don't want to participate in the process of getting TikTok Shop verified or having to consistently promote products or all the different requirements and qualifications. I don't want to make it a viable revenue stream for my business. It's just something I'm not interested in. I don't want to make this shopping style content a really big pillar or part of my content strategy. And on a personal side note, I don't want to push products that I don't think people need because we are facing overconsumption and kind of this capitalistic hellscape that we're in. And it's just something that doesn't resonate with me or my brand values. And because of this emphasis on TikTok Shop, organic style content that used to work on TikTok has been impacted. And now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and this isn't some crazy wild story of how TikTok is suppressing your videos and your content because you're not participating in TikTok Shop. But TikTok has come out and said, if you use newer features, if you use the features that they are currently pushing, you will get a nice boost in your content. If you are someone who is willing to participate in what TikTok wants you to do, they are going to reward you with increased exposure, increased reach, more views on your videos. I personally saw this firsthand when they tried to put an emphasis on like 3-minute long landscape videos on TikTok earlier this year. I literally would take these long form YouTube videos and just put them up on TikTok and get insane amount of views that I wouldn't see otherwise. So when they are pushing forward a specific feature or a specific style of content, they are going to reward you for participating. And again, I just don't want to participate in TikTok Shop, so I wasn't, getting some of that additional extra exposure on my videos and on my content. And to kind of wrap this all up, I have a big part of my brand that I really don't like leaning into bro marketing or spammy marketing practices or pushing things that I don't think you need. I've personally never been the business owner or content creator that is going to push a product at you that I personally haven't used myself, that I haven't had some kind of connection to or know that it's valuable to you. I don't want to push some cheap product or some cheap digital something or other just to kind of earn a commission or earn some brand revenue or whatever that looks like. I just don't want to do that. It doesn't align to me and my brand values. And the products that I have seen inside of TikTok Shop as of right now that would relate to my niche, some more of those like electronic style things, tripods, ring lights for influencers, things like that, they are just not the best quality. And it's not something that I'd want you to spend your time or money or energy on getting. So I simply don't want to promote them. So the second reason why I've kind of given up on this platform over the last year is that my audience growth is stagnant at best. So I started off 2024 with around 177,000 followers, and I'm ending this year around 195,000 followers. And while yes, that is still growth, and that is still growth that I am proud of, it is a lot less growth than I've seen in years previously. And honestly, a significant amount of that growth came from a handful of viral videos at the beginning of this year. And again, to reiterate, I only had those viral videos because I was playing into what TikTok wanted. They were promoting those landscape long form videos. So I played nice with the platform. I uploaded those and then I was rewarded with boosted views, boosted reach, and it brought new people into my audience. But that lasted only about a month. But arguably over the last 6 to 8 months, I have seen followers come and followers go, and I am plateauing around that 194,000 mark. And now, again, numbers aren't everything, but what kind of happens on TikTok is that we start to chase those numbers, and that's when it feels so overwhelming. TikTok is really good at this. They kind of dive into psychology and what we like to see and keep our attention spans nice and short. I could go on and on for days, but I found myself getting into these really not so good mindset places around my content creation and around showing up on TikTok specifically. So I'm the type of person that, yes, I do like to check in on analytics in terms of performance and moving the needle forward and making sure I'm spending my time wisely, but I also check in with myself to see if those analytics are negatively impacting me as a content creator, me as a business owner, or me as a person. And I started to see a shift towards putting way too much emphasis on the numbers or lack thereof this year on TikTok. I started playing that comparison game and really kind of plateaued in terms of not only audience growth, but of creativity. I saw this person doing this and that person doing that, and I would try new things, and I'm like, this just doesn't feel good. It feels a little icky, doesn't feel like me, and I would not want to create on TikTok. And for me, this really started to play a role in how I analyzed the time I was investing in the platform and the return that I got from the platform. And it just didn't make sense. The math didn't add up. And for me, I realized that TikTok as a platform is going through a lot of refining, a lot of change, a lot of ebbs and flows that I personally, as a content strategist and business owner, I just can't keep up with right now. And I can't play the games that TikTok wants me to play in order to see that growth. It's just not something that is sustainable for me right now. And it just led me down this road of very unhealthy content creation processes and practices. And I just really needed to take a step back from that. And the time that it would take for me to maintain that upward mobility, that upward growth, it just didn't make sense. The return on investment wasn't there. And I wasn't willing to play the game this year. But that did not stop me from creating content on TikTok. Instead, I leaned in heavily to repurposing and just kind of didn't care about the numbers. My views were a lot lower. Again, that stagnation in my growth was a lot lower, a lot less comments, a lot less this, that, and the other. And that's fine. I still showed up and the people that needed to see my videos saw my videos, but I wasn't sitting there waiting for every video to hit that 10,000 view mark or 100,000 view mark or see the new followers rolling in. I simply posted and moved on. And the last reason why I kind of gave up on TikTok this year is because I don't believe I am well-rounded enough in my niche. So these are just my observations, and this is just my personal opinion and what I've observed on the platform, not only as a consumer, but as a content strategist, is that we're in this golden age of content creation on TikTok where the average everyday person can show a sneak peek into their lives. And if they can make it slightly interesting, they can find a lot of success on TikTok. People right now are really loving that down-to-earth content creator, influencer that will show them literally every second of every day of their lives, and I'm just not that person. And there's nothing wrong with either, but I am much more of a show up, give you information, more of that infopreneur, if you will, and I'm a little bit less of a content creator in this aspect. I don't want to have to show up every single day and show you the behind the scenes of everything I'm doing. It's not the way my brain works. It's not the content that I know how to create very well. It just doesn't lean into my skill set. And I think that my niche is very, very small. It's a very strong one, but I am talking to small business owners that run an online business somewhat in the creative space, and that doesn't apply to the average everyday person that's consuming content on TikTok now. I teach other business owners how to have a sustainable content strategy. And if you don't fit in that realm, my content is not relevant to you. Whereas compared to the 25-year-old content creator that has blown up and just shown the behind the scenes of her life, talks a little bit about beauty, maybe talks a little bit about fashion, maybe shows off her dogs, that is far more interesting to vast more majority of the viewers that are on TikTok. There are a lot more average everyday people coming onto the platform now, and it's not just filled with content creators. It's not just filled with business owners. Everyday people are consuming content there, and my content is not for the everyday person. And along with this style of content, there kind of comes this expectation of posting a lot on the platform. I do believe in showing up consistently on a platform, but I don't want to have to really stick to very harsh regimes of you have to post 3 times a day and post stories and post photos and post carousels and this, that, and the other. I want to show up consistently, like 1 video a day, and kind of move on. And while tactics aren't everything, and we shouldn't always emphasize like, oh my God, I have to post this many times, I have noticed over the last year, TikTok has rewarded those creators that are posting more frequently throughout the day. And some of these content creators can literally just show up, create a video for 15 seconds and move on. Whereas I have a little bit more production sometimes in my videos, or I have a little bit more strategy and intention behind them. And I just don't think my content necessarily fits what people are looking for on the platform right now. And one last thing about this trend of that average everyday content creator is that these content creators are so great at showing up and building community on this platform. And that is just something that I've also never been able to do a ton on TikTok. The people who I serve tend to find me over on Instagram. That's where I have a lot more comments. That's where I DM people. That's where I sell more. Whereas TikTok is a platform that I use for discoverability. People will find me there, maybe binge my content, but then leave the platform. I personally have not built a well-rounded community on TikTok. I don't go live anymore. I don't post daily stories there. And it's very hard for me to get to all the comments on TikTok. It's just something that I've never been great at on TikTok, and it's just not the platform for me to build a community on. It's just not my strong point. So for me, my content and the way that I'm approaching TikTok does not fit the current culture of the platform. And I think that's why I kind of gave up on this platform. My audience has grown a bit stagnant, and just all these other factors kind of boil up to that main point there. So it's going to be interesting to see how the platform shifts overall in 2025. And if you're here in the US, there's obviously talks about a potential ban or shutdown of the platform entirely. They are considering like migrating TikTok with 11.8. There's like so many different talks of so many different things, and God knows what's going to happen to the platform. But it's a platform that I will still continue to create on without putting so much emphasis on the day-to-day creation. And it's a platform that does still make sense for me, even if I'm not hitting those numbers like I once was. And I will continue providing value to the people that show up and watch my videos there. And that's the main goal and main objective for me. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about TikTok and how you felt about it last year, and maybe how you're feeling about TikTok going into next year, and leave any questions that you might have in the comment section below. Otherwise, I will see you guys next week.